Welcome back. Federal government leaders say the end of the shutdown means the beginning of a long game of catch-up. Some agencies have a head start on that game, though. Terry Halvorsen's Vice President of Federal Client Development for IBM. He's former Chief Information Officer of the Department of Defense. Terry, welcome. Thanks for joining me. A lot of agencies have already deployed artificial intelligence solutions. How is that going to give them a leg up when they try to get back to normal as quickly as possible?
Yeah, well, first, Francis, thank you for having me on again. Always a pleasure to be here. AI is going to let them look at their data much faster. While I don't like to say AI is replacing people, it does let people do more work faster. And I think that's what's going to be the biggest advantage to the agencies that have it. They're going to be able to go through their data, they're going to be able to go through their backlogs quicker, they'll be able to do quicker analysis, and I think get to decisions faster. AI today can really tee up decisions much faster if the data you're using is ready. I think the challenge for the government will be, as it always is, making sure that the data is ready to go.
You wrote about that recently. You wrote government data is often richer and more structured than corporate data, but it's not always AI ready. Where does it fall short in your view in the experience that you've seen?
A couple things. I think it's not structured maybe as well, and there's so much data. When you want to really do AI well, you really want to curate the smallest data set possible to get the AI. And I think a lot of times in government, we just think, okay, we'll just use the really big data sets, and that will get us the answer. And it'll get you one, but it maybe not as specific as you want, and maybe not as fast as you want. So I think they're going to look at how they curate that data and how they really ensure the complete quality of the data, and, between the accuracy of the data, the way it's architected, all of those things, because the federal government has more data than anybody. It's the volume and scale is what really gets people hard to understand, and I think that will be the biggest challenge.
You pointed out before we went on the air a calendar challenge that the federal government's up against as a result of the shutdown. And you made a good point I hadn't thought of. We're only about 2 weeks from Thanksgiving. We're only about 6 weeks from the end of the calendar year when a lot of folks take extended breaks. What's the implication of that for trying to get back on track after the shutdown?
I think it's going to be really hard. I mean, the people will work hard, AI will help them, but I think we've just compressed this into, as you just talked about, a 6 week period where a lot of people will take leave, people are going to be traveling. It's going to complicate this more than it would have, say, if it was at the beginning of October or if it was after the first of the year.
Mm-hmm. What are the steps that you'd like to see leaders take now to be able to mitigate the difficulty as much as possible?
I think the first thing they've got to do is, and hopefully some of them, and I know from talking to them, some have already been working on this and thinking about it even while the shutdown was going on, is getting to that data sources that you want and starting to figure out how do I, you really curate that data, how do I run analytic tools on the data to get it ready to be in a format that allows AI to do its job well.
Mm-hmm. You pointed out too, when we were talking earlier, that it's one thing to look at AI and how it will help you now, but there's another idea, which is to tee it up for long-term productivity gains. Is it tempting in the wake of something like a shutdown to think, I just got to keep the trains running on time, not think about long term?
And I think we're all guilty of that. And I think that will be one of the things that the government will have to, and the data scientists will have to kind of fight their way through, like, let's just not clear the decks so we can, till Christmas. But how do we think about this in a longer way? How do we really think about it in a systematic way and force themselves to do that? And that gets hard during the Christmas holidays period. Now coming off of a shutdown, it'll just be something they'll have to keep in mind, and I think they probably will.
What's the horizon that people should be thinking about timeline-wise to try to get back to normal, to try to lay the foundation for some of the things that you've just described? Is it a 6-month calendar? Is it a year-long calendar?
I think it's a 6 month to a year calendar, and I think I would really divide kind of my data up. Like, okay, here are some things that probably 6 months is when I want to get some solutions done, and here is that beyond a year. I would divide it that way, and I think that works well. And it particularly works well inside government to do it that way.
Terry, it's always great to have you on the program. Thank
Same
you very
here.
much.
Good to see you.
You can read more about what's ahead for reopening the government on today's show page at fedgovtoday.com.